Hello everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Think Tank. Well, student loan debt has now exceeded $1 trillion. And despite this disaster and failure of government guaranteed loans to students, drowning in debt, not only that, they can't even find jobs, swimming in this debt, which means they can't pay it back. All right? And despite this, I was reading an article somewhere about the Progressive Institute talking about we need to invest in human capital. I mean, I'm sorry, but I think what you mean is you need to invest in human debt. I mean, can't you see the problem here? These kids are going to college, they're graduating with degrees that are not helping them in the marketplace. You know, a degree like liberal arts, what is that going to do for you in the marketplace? As a matter of fact, when people graduate from college, a lot of people end up getting jobs that are not even related to their major. So, I mean, I don't understand it. What's the point? And then they talk about their right, people's right for an education. Well, there's a lot of levels of education. There's elementary, there's high school, and then there's college, and then there's even more advanced degrees within college. But what does it mean, human right? A human right to take somebody else's money? Because who's paying for this? It's the taxpayer. I mean, where does it say in the Constitution that the taxpayer has to pay for somebody to go to college in order for them to be drowning in debt and not being able to find a job? I mean, is that their right? And the question is, do they really want this? Or are they being fooled into thinking that they'll get a degree and that, oh, well, now the economy's bad, well, it'll get better in the future? Well, the question is, will it get better? I don't see how it can. Because the way things are run right now, in this regulatory environment, in this high taxation environment, and all these silly laws like child labor laws and minimum wage laws, I mean, how can the economy improve? Under these conditions, I don't see how it can. And we see situations like capital, rather than coming to this country, it's fleeing this country. So, how can the economy get better? I mean, I just don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, my question is, how can these liberals and progressives be so heartless? I mean, how could they do this to our young people? I mean, they're suffering right now, and it's because of their policies that they're suffering. Now, what's the solution? You're going to find the solution right here at the Think Tank. The solution is, just like government involvement is hurting education, it's hurting the economy. If government got out of education, prices to go to universities, tuitions, would drop like a rock. Because since the government is involved in guaranteeing these loans, universities feel like they can charge anything they want because the government's going to pay for it. See, that's the problem with it. And just think about this. Tuitions are so high, and that's even though we have so many universities. I mean, just think about it. You know, if you look around this country, there's so many colleges. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, you would think that all these colleges would create competition and lower prices, but it's not. And this just proves how deep government is involved in guaranteeing these loans. Because ordinarily, if you have so much competition, what competition does, it lowers prices. It's basic supply and demand. When you have too much, prices go down. But in this case, it's not happening. I mean, we have more colleges than ever in this country, and despite the fact tuitions are going up, and it's because of government guaranteed loans. And if you tell these progressives that, you know, what they say is, well, you know, they don't have jobs. It's not their fault. They're graduating, but the jobs are not there. We need to invest in human capital. And you know, what they're saying is, yeah, if the economy was good, then college would be a good thing. See, but what they don't understand is that the very involvement of government that is causing these prices to go up, and as a result of that, creating this huge tuition debt crisis, all right, is the same reason why the economy is in the doldrums. There's too much government involvement in the economy, too much regulations, high taxation. Okay, like I just mentioned, these silly laws like child labor laws, like minimum wage laws. If these were repealed, just think about it. We can bring back true genuine jobs to this country, like manufacturing, okay? And let me tell you something. The way some people talk in this country, you know, these goofballs sitting behind a desk, they never worked a day in their life. They say, well, you know, these are low-skilled jobs like making shoes and textiles. I mean, no, they're not. They're very high-skilled jobs. I mean, just think about it. These machines that make shoes, that make textiles, they have to be made. They have to be built. That's a low-skilled job. Maintaining these machines, operating these machines that do that? No, they're actually very high-skilled. I mean, they're a lot more high-skilled than somebody graduating with a liberal arts degree. How is that being skilled? How is that being talented? That's the problem here. And the solution is, what we have to do is actually close up a lot of these universities, because a lot of them are worthless. We need to replace them with trade schools. We need to send these young kids to trade schools so they can learn real skills in the marketplace. So you can ask, yeah, what good is it? We don't have the manufacturing like we did for these kids to get those jobs. But at least then we'll be investing, as they say, in human capital. Human capital that can do something, not human capital that can't do anything. But the point is, people can invest in their own capital because they'll have real jobs. All right, it's called on-the-job training. And if we bring back manufacturing, all right, these kids, they can go to a school, a trade school, to learn these things, and also actually maybe even earn some money as they're working. I mean, just think about it. And why can't they do this? Because there's child labor laws, we have minimum wage laws, and as a result, you know, how can people do any on-the-job training if they can't work? You see, that's the problem here. And then you can ask, well, how are we going to compete with the Chinese worker? Well, the answer to that question is, they're not going to work for so little forever. You know, eventually, the Chinese are not going to just make all these products for us and we're going to return paper to them. You know, eventually what's going to happen, that they're eventually going to sell products to their own citizens. And it's going to be difficult for us to trade with them because we have less to trade because of all this debt that we have. So we have to have something to fall back on. We have to bring back genuine jobs to this country, such as manufacturing, all right, and industry. And you could just see how it's fled this country. I mean, you could just look, the percentage of GDP in manufacturing has plummeted. I mean, just look at states like Pittsburgh. I mean, look at big industrial historic cities, what they used to be, such as Pittsburgh and Detroit. I mean, look what Detroit looks like. It's a graveyard. Detroit is sending you a message. That manufacturing has hemorrhaged jobs. I mean, hemorrhaged jobs in that sector. And if you think about it, how do you compete? Well, if the Chinese are not going to be there forever, I mean, but just think about it. If we have sound money, okay, and people have genuine jobs, if interest rates were higher, we would have savings, we would have capital. So we can create these jobs in this country. Well, of course, you know, the way how cheap things are in China, well, they may not be that cheap, but if you think about it, we can still get things at a very fair price, because if the regulatory burden is not there for businesses, they can start those businesses, create businesses here, create companies here, hire a lot of workers, and as a result, I mean, think about it, we won't have to bring things thousands of miles away, the shipping costs would be reduced, the taxes, the customs wouldn't be there, we would have things right in our backyard, there would be delivered to the public quicker. All right, and think about it, people will have savings then, people will have more money in their pockets, and they would be able to buy the things that the country itself produces, and we would have more trade because we would have more things to trade. So trade would be increased, the trade deficit would go down, people's standard of living would go up, we would have more sustainable jobs, the unemployment rate, which is so high right now, would go down because we would make the things that we use. I mean, it's just basically simple economics. The economy would get better. But the bottom line is, it's policy. You see, whether it's student loans and the economy, it all goes hand in hand based on policy. Because the policy is that there's too much government involvement in the education sector as well as the economy. And this is what these progressives don't understand. Or maybe they do understand, and the question is, my question to you is, And I'd like you to leave some comments. Why are these people so heartless? Why can't they just back off? How could they say invest in human capital? They see what it's doing to our young kids. I mean, can't they have mercy on these poor young kids? Why are liberals and progressives so heartless? It just doesn't make any sense. So I would like your perspective about the student loan crisis. I'd like to talk about solutions. Please leave your comments, and thank you for tuning in.